Okay, Georgia scored 38 points 2 years in a row at Auburn. This year, though, they lose really in heartbreaking fashion, 43-38 to Auburn. Auburn, I don't know if they deserved to win the game more than Georgia by the time the game was over, but they sure did win. And this is going to be one of those games that people remember for a long time on the plains down here in Auburn, because they have a do-or-die, basically a national championship quarterfinal, if you want to call it, with Alabama here in a couple of weeks. And they can beat Alabama. But, it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to do it. For Georgia, the problem with this loss on a couple of different levels is, number one, if you're Georgia, they really can't gain anything from here on out. I mean, they're supposed to beat Kentucky. They're supposed to beat Georgia Tech. So there's not going to be anything where people are going to say, oh, man, that was a great year. Anytime Georgia loses 4 games, actually anytime Georgia loses any game, people are not going to be pleased. But this was a bizarre season. I think we're 10 games into it, and 8 of the 10 games have been pure pandemonium the entire time. This game was no different. I mean, Auburn was the better team by far in the first half. And then the second half, Georgia came out and started attacking. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Auburn actually had a 20-point lead. 17-point leads when the Georgia Bulldogs are on the field, whether Georgia's on offense, has the lead or not, apparently are completely irrelevant, because Auburn had a 17-point lead, Georgia had a 17-point lead against South Carolina and Tennessee and Florida, and it's just this conference has become, what this conference has become is a football flinging circus. And we saw that here tonight. Although Auburn didn't fling it, they ran it. And they ran it pretty well. But I'll give Georgia credit. I mean, they never die. And if they do, they die hard. But they definitely could have quit. And they did not. The winner of this game, no matter how it turned out, because of how that fourth quarter shaped up, this one's going to go down with all these Auburn-Georgia classics. I've been talking to a lot of people now. Some of this stuff's a little before my time, so I can only speak to what I can recall, which is 1992 right here at this end zone, 1996 right here at this end zone, 2002 at this end zone, same end zone every time, 2005 in Athens with that play just like that. 2008, Georgia had to save themselves in one of these end zones. And then this year with nothing more than a miracle. I mean, at that point, Georgia should have won the game. All that the guys in the secondary had to do was knock the ball down. You got to wonder if in 10 years of football, or 15, if Auburn will have a play like that again. They probably won't. I mean, that was and they still almost lost the game after that. That was the crazy part, was Georgia was knocking on the door with 2 plays from the 20-yard line. So I think this was a tough one. Let me talk about Aaron Murray here. God, man, Georgia's going to miss Aaron Murray. He threw the ball 50 times tonight for 415 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 42 yards. He wound up with 37 because of some sacks. He scored 2 touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns total today. If you don't appreciate Aaron Murray, you're a total idiot. Period. And I don't really know what else to say about it. God, I got a Heisman vote, and I know Georgia's 8-4, going to wind up 8-4, something like that. It's going to be hard for me not to vote for Aaron in there, because, damn, I mean, what more does this guy have to do? He's like a one-man wrecking machine. Good for Nick Marshall landing on his feet, I guess. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to be glad to hear me say that. He did what he did to get thrown out of Georgia. That's on him. Auburn's going to be good when they have a quarterback. When they don't have a quarterback, they're not going to be good. And, that's pretty basic for a lot of things, but now they're in a situation where they could really run it tonight, but they didn't put Georgia away. I mean, that fourth quarter, I mean, Georgia just started zooming all over the place. They scored 21 points, basically because of Aaron. I mean, it's hard to say you should win a game when you were down 20 points with 20 minutes to go in the game. But damn, Georgia should have probably won this game. I mean, this you can say a lot about Georgia whenever they lose a game. It's always that they probably should have won the game, and they're Georgia, so you're going to get that. Auburn and Florida and everybody has that same thing. But again, this is going to be one of those games where people look back and they're like, "What in the world happened?" And it may be. This could be Auburn's, Lindsey Scott moment. We don't know. We don't know. Alabama is going to have to score, and Alabama can score, but they're going to have to score with Auburn. Auburn's going to score some points just against whoever they play. LSU got them early in the season, and I think that really helped them. The other thing we do in the South is, like on Sundays we go to church and we complain about coaches. That's what we do, and I just. Whenever someone loses, it's time to fire the coaches, all this stuff. That just annoys me after a while because most of the time coaches don't need to be replaced. This isn't like a Dennis Felton moment where Georgia's just not competitive, they're bad, whatever you want to call it. That's not what's going on. They've lost 3 games, 3 games in the fourth quarter this year. One of them was on a last-second play. One of them was on the road. Well, 2 of them were on the road against top 10 teams. One of them was inexplicable against Vanderbilt. I just don't even know how to explain that one, if at all. And then one was against Missouri, which I thought, Missouri was just better that day. The overreactors do what they do. And that's fine. If you're watching this and you're an overreactor, good for you. But the problem is, the reality is that I find it very hard to believe that Georgia's going to make any coaching changes. Why? I mean, you're definitely not firing Mark Richt. You'd be a lunatic to do that. You got to wonder how far, Georgia is from being in this position that Auburn's in right now, which is, Georgia was in this position last year. 1 loss, going probably to a make-or-break game with Alabama to see where things go. To me, from my perspective, Georgia is in as good a position as it's been in a long time. I've been following Georgia for, decades. And they're going to have to figure out quarterback. But basically the same team you saw on the field tonight is basically going to return without Aaron Murray, which means they're probably going to still score a ton of points. So you got to think the defense is probably going to be better with a little bit more maturity back there. Stuff like this is painful now for those guys like Trey Matthews, Josh Harvey Clemens, etc. But guys grow up. And they learn from mistakes, typically. Now, if they don't learn from mistakes, that's when you know you've got an issue. I think if Georgia had laid down and died tonight, which they didn't and they never do, then you'd have real considerations about coaching issues. Then they will have, I saw someone post online, Todd Grantham's lost this team, or Mark Grantham. I mean, sometimes people just say stuff just because they have diarrhea of the mouth. Mark Richt has never lost Georgia. I mean, that's why you saw in 2006 them lose to Kentucky and then come down here and stun number 5 Auburn. Georgia is strong. They're just not, they're just not what people want them to be this year. And that's a hard pill to swallow when you were knocking on the door of the national championship a year ago. The good news is they've got a couple of games that they should win here at the end of the season, and we're going to see what happens with the bowl game. To me, still seems like it's probably the Gator Bowl, maybe the Chick-fil-A Bowl, Peach Bowl. I don't know. Maybe Nashville if things don't really go their way. But, one way or another, Georgia should win their next 3 games in the season, 9-4. But tonight, this was a heartbreaker because this could have been another 10-win season for Georgia. But now, this loss eliminates them from the SEC East Championship race, et cetera, et cetera. So, tough one for Georgia to lose, but they'll have to get ready to go against the Cats next Saturday night in Athens. People won't soon forget this game. Okay, Dean Legge, Auburn wins 43-38.